Superman and Lois returns finally once again after pretty much like a months-long break, which I'm really getting tired of these breaks, but the season's almost over. Kinda, I think. I believe there's only 13 episodes, and this was episode 10. It was a great episode. It really was a great episode. We ended off on a great cliffhanger with the teaser of like, oh, Superman is going to the Bizarro world, and we've got Bizarro John, and it was really cool and everything. And then we get this episode, and it definitely lived up to the hype, which I didn't really have much hype for because, you know, it's been like a month, so I kind of lost the hype. But it was a great episode, and I really enjoyed it. So, guys, of course, spoiler warning, if you haven't seen the episode yet, definitely make sure to go check it out. But for now, let's jump into this and break down Superman and Lois Season 2, Episode 10. So we start off with Superman exiting the portal, now in the inverse, which is the Bizarro world. And there's a lot of things that are kind of the opposite of what we have in the regular world. Like, for example, the Red Sun. So he goes to Bizarro's Fortress of Solitude and meets his hologram mom. And then Bizarro John arrives to help Superman. And we see that this version of Jonathan Kent has superpowers. He can fly. He's basically Superboy. Actually taking the design from the comics as well. So they go to the Kent farm. And then we start off with some flashbacks, which was a really interesting format for the episode. Every time you come back from a commercial break, it would be Bizarro, this character, and then it would go to flashbacks of that character. And I thought that was a really interesting format that I actually really enjoyed, especially, you know, structuring to do this review and taking notes and everything. It actually helped a lot. So we start off with Bizarro Jonathan L. So the Kent family is in a limo, and Bizarro, like actual Bizarro that we saw earlier in the season, is regular. Like, he looks like a regular human, looks just like Tyler Hoechlin's Superman, just with the backwards S and the tattered cape and stuff. And so he's at like some sort of press event, and he's too busy taking pictures, you know, being busy in the spotlight and everything, to be a hero. So Jonathan goes and he saves a life, and then he gets all the attention. So now that they know that his powers have come in, John is basically being turned into a superhero, and Jordan's haven't, though, so he's really jealous. So it's like the opposite, again, another opposite of what happened on Earth Prime. And so he gets this cool costume, and so now we have this team up of Superman and Jonathan L. And Jordan even makes the joke of like, oh, you could be Superboy, because of course that was Superboy in the comics. But then our Bizarro Superman here is like super demanding. He seems like he would be the type to abuse his child. Like, I don't think he actually did, but he's like a really demanding, overbearing father right here. And he's like, no, you're gonna be called Jonathan L. I was like, okay then. But John's new girlfriend takes him to meet Allie Alston. And this is where we get to see that character take a turn to the dark side because of that neglection and that back and forth relationship with his father. He's kind of rebelling, and so he goes off with Allie Alston. And then we come back from another commercial break with now Bizarro Lois Lane, where she's leaving Bizarro. He actually burns down the whole farm with his well, no, he doesn't burn down the whole thing, but he like burns down, I think, one of the barns or something with his fire breath, which is pretty cool. And I'm assuming that's how he starts turning into Bizarro, is kind of just like the overload of stress. They don't really explain that. It's like it just kind of starts happening. But anyway, John and Lana now work for Allie, and so then basically Kal-El becomes Bizarro here and decides that he's gonna go destroy the pendant on the other world, which would be Earth Prime, of course, and that's why he comes to our world and meets Tyler Hoechlin's Superman. But then we go back to present day, where we see that this Bizarro John Kent, was not actually helping Superman. He actually is evil because he's working for Allie Alston. So he beats up Superman, asking for Anderson's location, where then Anderson appears. And so then we go to a commercial break. We come back, Anderson's flashbacks, where we see that he arrives on the other side of the portal, and Allie's squad is kind of there waiting for him. So then the two Andersons try to merge together, but John fire breathes and completely incinerates Bizarro Anderson. And he even says in that moment, like, I've never killed anyone before, but he just did, and that's when he crossed the line and officially become a villain. So that was pretty interesting. But then Bizarro Lois and Sam Lane, they find Anderson, and so they kind of hide out underneath the Kent farm in like this cool little bunker. And so then we go back to the present, where it kind of follows up after that scene there, where Anderson says that Superman is right, we can't let Allie get the pendants, and so then he takes down John, and Anderson only has one vial left of the X-Kryptonite. So that's clearly not good, because he's got to fight all these other people like Allie and all her squad, but also has to be able to get back through the portal. So then all of a sudden, Tal-Rho, Lana, and both Allies show up outside the farmhouse. And then John escapes and he goes out there with them. So then it's Superman and Anderson versus all of them. And of course they lose, because it's 2 versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 versus 5. So it's not really a fair fight. So of course they lose. And John, I believe, actually kills Anderson. And so then he grabs the pendants. And then we see that he's going off to Earth Prime to go merge with his other self. And so then we go to another commercial break. We come back, and now we have Tal-Rho's flashback. So we have Tal and Cal they're just being great brothers here, and they're at a bar, and we see Clark tell Tal that Lois is pregnant, and we bought this farm in Smallville. It's pretty cool. And then you see that Lana is a waitress or a bartender at this bar. And so, of course, she and Tal are flirting there. And then we see that they actually get married. So that was pretty cool, seeing this alternate version of Lana on Bizarro World. And then later, it's kind of mid-transformation of Superman into Bizarro. He has another conversation with Tal-Rho. And this is where you can see that he's now working with Allie. And he says, oh, Allie is right. And so, of course, Bizarro isn't really happy with that, so he rebels, and then we go back to present day where Allie gives John the pendants again, and as those two Allies are merging together into one, then John goes off to merge with his other self on Earth Prime. But then we, of course, have that ending scene where on Earth Prime, it's basically the same ending as we had in last episode, where Bizarro John arrives on Earth Prime, and then we see that the real John shows up as well, and then he says, I'm here for him, and then we'll see how that plays out in next episode. And most likely in next episode, Superman will also hopefully come back through to the portal and back to Earth Prime, but I guess we'll have to wait and see until then. But for now, guys, that was Superman Lois Season 2, Episode 10. I really enjoyed this episode. It was a lot of fun getting to see all these alternate versions of our favorite characters from the show. And I guess we'll see how it plays out. We only have a couple episodes left. I believe there's 13 episodes in the season. So I'm really excited to see what happens next and how this story wraps up. But for now, guys, stay tuned for next week's episode of Review Breakdown. Let me know all your thoughts, theories, and predictions in the comments below. And thanks so much for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video and hit the subscribe button so I can keep it to date on everything goes on in the DC life.